Okay, but I wanted to show you how to navigate through this Open Secrets website. This Open Secret website has a database of monies that are going to candidates as well as members of Congress. You can also see interest group money that is flowing out to candidates and members of Congress. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go at the top right here. Before we do that, go ahead and if you page down, it'll tell you a little bit about the website. This is a nonprofit website. It stays active by members' donations, and it kind of looks at every kind of aspect of interest groups, lobbying, and monies to Congress. So obviously, gun control and gun rights is a big issue here in the United States right now. So let's go ahead and look at some of the monies that are going to members of Congress, and then we'll go into look at kind of interest groups and money from those interest groups to Congress, and we'll take a look at the amount of money that is out, astonishing at times when you look at it. So if you look at this gun rights versus gun control, since 1990, gun rights groups have spent about $70 million to try to lobby members of Congress to to be sensitive to their needs with regards to gun rights. And the same thing with gun control. They spent about $52 million. And you could see, the lobbying money and the outside spending groups are very, very significant numbers here. This just gives a little bit of a synopsis about some of the things that have happened in the past few years with regards to gun violence. And if you go down to here, you could see how the money's been divided up in the past few years between the two sides, gun control versus gun rights, and as well as the gun manufacturing industry. So it's a lot of money. And, in the past few years, it's really increased because of some of the high profile shootings since Sandy Hook that have happened here. If you look at this right here and go down, this will show actual monies that are going from gun rights groups to members of Congress. So Ted Cruz, a senator from Texas, has received about $442,333 from gun rights groups as influence, and for him to be able to run his campaign, this is where he gets money from to run his campaign. Steve Scalise, who is a House of Representative member from Louisiana, you can see how much money he has received. John Cronin, senator, and so on. And you're going to notice a lot of R's, right? If we go down and look at gun control groups, you can see here the monies that are spent by gun control groups trying to influence members of Congress. And you're going to see all Democrats for the most part on this side. Mark Kelly, whose wife was actually a House Representative member named Gabriella Giffords, who was shot at a campaign rally or a campaign appearance, and who sustained a very bad injury where some of her cognitive abilities were taken away with that. Her husband actually ran for Senate and won, and you can see how much money he's gotten from these groups. Pelosi, familiar name on there. Elizabeth Warren, another famous name on there. So you could see that. And if we go up here and look, we can go to issues. Gun rights groups. And this will also show you what we saw earlier. Kind of the same thing that we saw earlier. One thing that you can also do is go on here, click that menu icon, then go to industries and interest groups. Let's go down to industries. And this breaks down. It's a summary of these different interest groups by industry. So we have the finance, insurance, real estate industry. They have received about $993 million in donations, and what they do is they use that money to send to candidates. And you can see here it's probably a pretty even split between Republicans and Democrats, and they've each received about roughly half of this $443 million that are spent. And this is a consolidation of a bunch of different industries in here, and you could probably see the light blue reflects contributions to liberal causes. The dark blue reflects contributions to Democratic candidates. Specifically, the light red is our conservative groups. The dark red are Republicans. So you can take a look at that. Then you can even go up and look at contributors. So you can see where the money has absolutely came from, and the split of who they've given money to. So Soros Fund Management. Soros is George Soros, a big Democratic booster. He's given $129 million to candidates as well as to outside liberal groups. And you can even look at money to Congress here. And we'll talk a little bit more about this next time when we look at members of Congress. And you could see here the split between Republicans and Democrats. And if you go to the top 20 members of Congress, it'll show you specifically out of the finance, insurance, real estate industries who gets contributions from those groups. And you could see Chuck Schumer here, who is a high-ranking senator, has gotten $8 million from that industry. Tim Scott, who is a Republican senator from South Carolina, has gotten $3 million from those industries. Let's go ahead and go back and look at interest groups again. We'll look at health. I think the Biden administration has recently said that they're going to look at legalizing marijuana for personal use. It is scheduled. It is currently on the drug schedule. It's a Scheduled 1 narcotic, meaning it's illegal to have at the federal level. So that being said, there might be some organizations like pharmaceutical companies that come out against it, and health groups that come out against it. So you could see here some of the money that is spent from these groups to influence members of Congress. See, pharmaceutical industry has spent about $187 million to lobby members of Congress. Raphael Warnock, who is running for re-election in the Senate, received about $2 million of that, and you could see the monies that are going back and forth. So I encourage you to play around with this website, look around different things. It's really, really interesting when you look at it. If you look at contributors here, you can see where this money has come from. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the organization is donating money. For example, DaVita. I believe DaVita is a company that helps people who are at home and are in need of dialysis for their kidneys. I believe that's the company, one of the companies that helps them. So they have contributed $869,000. It doesn't necessarily mean DaVita has contributed. It could be a person that works for DaVita who has contributed. So look at this red thing, this red statement here. In many cases, the organizations themselves did not donate. Rather, the money came from organizations' political action committees, its individual members or employees or owners, and those individuals' immediate family. So anytime you make some type of political contribution, you have to disclose where you work. Right, so that might be one of the reasons why the Kaiser Permanente, a really big organization here in San Diego, $1,106,661. Not necessarily meaning that somebody from that Kaiser itself donated that money, but more along the lines that maybe an employee or Kaiser's, if they have a political action committee, were the ones that contributed that money. And like I said, go up to interest groups and take a look, and you can see the different groups here, and you can click on it. And I didn't mean to click on gun rights, but yeah, we'll look at it. So you could see here, the National Rifle Association has contributed $5,333,849 to conservative groups. Those might be conservative groups that operate in favor of gun rights. And then you can see where they've given money to members of Congress or Republicans. If we look at gun control groups, you can see the same thing here. Everytown for Gun Safety, that was a liberal group that was created after the Sandy Hook shooting. So you can see they've received money. And then if you look at money to Congress, if we look at this before, you could see the monies that have gone out, the average contributions, and if you go up to top 20 members, you can see people that have gotten money. Again, we see Mark Kelly. I think we saw that name before in that other table. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff out of this. And when we start talking about Congress and contributions to Congress, we'll look at this, and we'll look at individual senators and House of Representative members and see where their money comes from. I keep clicking on the gun rights groups. I don't need to do that. Or, let's go anti-abortion, since that is a hot button issue. See these pro-choice groups, or pro-life groups. I'm sorry. The monies that have been spent, and then if you click up here, you can see what monies have been contributed to Congress. Look at the top 20 members, and you can see the monies that they've been receiving. Chris Smith, Republican from New Jersey, received $20,000. You can even go back and let's go to the 2020 cycle. That might be a little bit more, I'm betting, since there's a presidential election. And yeah, you could see a little bit more money was given to candidates then. Let's look one more time. Interest groups. So pro-choice groups here. See Planned Parenthood, which isn't surprising to see that on there as a top contributor. And then you can see monies to Congress. Then we can go, on this one, let's go to all senators. And you can see the monies that Senate members of the Senate have gotten from pro-choice groups. So I encourage you all to go ahead and play around with this. Look at the different interest groups. You can even look at super PACs and 527s. And you can see the amount of money they have given. So over $1 billion. And if you look at 527 and super PACs, there's a lot of money that has gone out to them. You can see that there. Let's go and look at lobbying. Let's look at PACs. Political action committees, super PACs. So we talked about super PACs. And you can see the amount of money that has been given from super PACs. Senate Majority PAC, Liberal, they've received $35 million. They paid out $35 million to support a candidate or to go against the candidate. So it's just an incredible amount of money. Let's take a look at 2020. Like, say for instance here, this America First Action Group, they're a conservative group for the C. They had independent expenditures of 133 million. They raised 150 million, and they used that money to support Trump's campaign. You can see American Bridge 21st Century, almost $60 million, a liberal cause, used that money to support Biden. The Lincoln Project, which is made up of Republicans who are against Trump, and they raised $87 million and spent almost 50 of that to go against Trump, because I saw a lot of ads on from them during the election. Okay, so obviously take a look at this. Go ahead and play around and look at some of the monies that have been going and being spent to support candidates, to support causes, and so on. Okay, thanks a lot. Talk to you all soon.